What's up guys, welcome to my channel, Offset Trucking. Hey man, let's get straight to it, because some people telling me that sometimes I don't go straight to the subject. I just want to say some extra shit before I talk about what I'm supposed to talk about. But now let's go straight to that one, okay? So I was doing Lyft, all right? So I think I was in Miami doing Lyft and stuff. I pick up a passenger and I went to a warehouse, okay? And I see a lot of trucks, like trailers and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, cool. Like, it must be a truck driver. Then when I pick up the gentleman, then he get in the car and saying hi, hello, whatever. People don't, most passengers don't do that. So I'm like, yeah, cool. I'm like, what's up, bro? He was like, I'm good. I'm like, you a truck driver? Because like I said, I pick up the guy out of a warehouse and I see he got the vest on, and then the warehouse full of trailers or whatever. I just asked a question because sometimes you want to start conversation or whatever. He's like, no, man, no, hell no. I'm like, what do you mean, hell no? He's like, that's something I would never do. That's something that I hate. I will never do. I'm like, why not? I'm like, what are you doing right now? He's like, I drive them forklift, bro. Like, that's what I do. I drive the forklift. But he's like, they don't really pay that much, man. I'm like, how much they paying? It was like, they only pay like, I think $18 he was getting paid. $18 or $19, something like that, per hour. I'm like, I mean, that's not bad, because shoot, that's more than average people getting paid around here in Florida. Like, it ain't bad at all. He was like, nah, bro, they don't want to pay for the type of job I'm doing. They don't want to pay. I'm like, why not getting your CDL though? He's like, nah, bro, that's something I hate. I would never do it. It was like a lot of people telling you that having your CDL is all good, you making money, this and that. It's not true, man. They suffering out there. I'm like, what do you mean they suffering out there? Truck drivers suffering. It's like, yo, bro, I cannot go like long time without coming home, and I can't eat good. I can't do this, I can't do that. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, dang, that must be deeper than what he's telling me right now. It was like, okay, quick, let me tell you a story, man. I'm like, oh, okay, go ahead. It's like, you remember there was a big accident in Orlando. There was like two trucks. That's like, maybe I guess they head onto each other, and then one of the driver died and stuff. I'm like, nah, man, I don't remember that. I never heard of that. He was like, yeah, there was a big thing like that happened, and I thought he told me it was in 2010 that accident happened, something like that. I'm like, really? He was like, I'm like, okay. In my head, I'm like, what does that have to do with you? Is that why you scared because accident happened? Because let's be honest, you can be driving a small car and then accident happen too, you know. He was like, no, man. He's like, oh, I think he said, after he done say that, I'm like, he said that, oh, he said my dad was one of the driver. I'm like, really? Your dad was one of them? He's like, yeah, man, yeah. In my head, I'm like, okay, I'm starting to see why you don't like the old trucking thing. He's like, yeah, but I'm like, okay. I'm like, damn, man, sorry to hear about that. I'm like, so your dad is doing okay now? He's like, no, man, he's dead, bro. The one driver, I think he said the only one that ended up dead was his dad that was driving that truck. I'm like, oh, man. Now I see why that boy hate trucking. I'm like, man, I'm sorry to hear about that. He's like, yeah, man, my dad was doing that thing his whole life. He's like, my dad been doing that for, I think he said for 20 years. His dad been doing the whole driving truck thing. He's like, my dad used to come home. Like, if my dad come home right now, you're not gonna see him in 3 months. I'm like, dang, man. He's like, yeah, man. Like, truck. Now I understand. I'm like, now I understand. Now you don't like trucking. You don't like the old trucking thing because your dad get killed from that. He's like, yeah, man. That's why I would never do that. He said when my dad died, man, the trucking company he was working with, they didn't want to pay for his funeral. They didn't want to. They was fighting so hard to keep his money, because I think that's, how you call that thing? Your insurance money when you die, like you have to have your kids somebody sign up to, if you die, somebody beneficiary. You gotta have beneficiary, right? if you die, that person gonna take that money, and however you set it up, if you got kids, you wanted to split with them kids or whatever. It's like the company was trying its hard to steal that money. It was like, I'm like, how much was that money? It was like $15,000, bro. For $15,000, and my dad been working for them for a long time, and they were fighting. When my dad died, they were fighting to keep that money. It was like, that's why I would never, ever, ever get my CDL or be a truck driver. None of that, man. I'm like, dang, man, that's really deep. I'm like, me, myself, I got my CDL, man, but I don't like the whole OTO, like going all 48 state part, okay? But I ain't got no problem with trucking. Like, if I can find, like, I told him, like, right now I'm looking for local. If I can find a local or something, or dedicated, like go from Florida to Georgia or something like that, shoot, I don't mind doing it, you know what I mean? But I'm just not with the old 48 state, go all over the country, okay, going up and down mountain. I did it. I just didn't like it, okay? It was like, yeah, man, that's why I would never do it. He's like, if my dad didn't, he said, if my dad didn't, he said, even though my dad had my sister's name on that insurance as a beneficiary or whatever, they were still fighting to get that money. It's like, that's why, man, like, it's like, I had to take a lawyer. They had to take a lawyer to do all that, to, you know, to get that thing fixed, man. So, yeah, man, that's why the gentleman hate trucking. He said he never do it. And to be honest, I understand. Like, if I had a dad that's died from doing truck or whatever he was doing, I would hate that thing too, okay? I would hate that thing too. And he's like, yeah, man, that's why I never do it. And sure, I'm like, yeah, man, I understand. But he was like, I used to hate it when my dad going for like 3 months, 4 months out. And me and my sister, we basically raising, like, was raised without no dad, because I understand he was, you know, working to put food on our table, but at the same time, he was missing a lot, you know? And he said, my dad used to make money, not only, he said, my dad wasn't really, he was making money with the trucking. He was making money by doing, you know, some deals under, like, you know, he said sometimes my dad had to go pick up somebody else's product without the company knowing, you know, that's how he told me. But anyway, I'm not going to go too detailed on that. I don't really know. That's what the gentleman told me. He said, he's like, that's how I used to make money. That's why he really used to make money from trucking. But if it was from, like, company paying him, he wasn't really making money like that. He's like, that's why in my head, there's no money in trucking, and I hate that, the whole trucking thing. I'm like, shoot, I understand. But now, let me say this, man. If you got kids, you got family, man, do yourself a favor, man. Do yourself a favor. Try not to be that dad, okay? Always make sure when you go out there, man, truck drivers, man, always make sure you make it home to your family. Make sure you make it home to your kids, because if something happened to you, man, you don't want your kids to be that gentleman that's hate trucking right now, because, you know, he's that die from it. I know sometimes you can't really prevent, you know, stuff that's happening. You know, I'm pretty sure if his dad could, he would try his best to not, you know, end up dying in that accident. But truck drivers, man, make sure, man, make sure you make it home to your family, man, to your kids. If you got kids, make it home, man. When you go out there, try your best to make it back home, okay? And then one thing, man, I know money is important, but man, don't let your kids talk like that gentleman, man. Like, he said I used to hate it when his dad come, like, only come, like, let's say his dad come for a week and go out there for like 2 months, 3 months, man. Come on, man, spend some time with your family. I know you need the money, man, but try to be home, you know, try to be home, man. Like, spending 2 months, 3 months out, and your kids missing you, man. Especially when your kids got, like, they big kids, man. They're not babies or whatever. They're big kids. They understand, man. They hate it. They hate it when you go out, man. Dads, man, they hate it. Okay, they hate it, man. So try not to be that dude, man. Try your best. That's what I can say, man. Hey, since my whole channel is about trucking, man, I'm like, I gotta tell you that story, man. got to tell you that story. Maybe you can learn something from it. I don't know if it's not you, probably him, her, anybody can learn something from that, okay? From that situation. But anyway, make sure you guys like, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you guys think, man. And I'm out.